I love that organic cooking. I always ask for more. And they call me Mr. Natural. On down to the health food store. I only eat good sea salt. White sugar don't touch my lips. And my friends is always begging me to take them on. Welcome back to Pagitt Radio on AM 950, Progressive Voice of Minnesota. That you know you're listening to in your car, in your bathroom, on your portable device.
In downtown Apple Valley.
Downtown Apple Valley. Joined by natural health coach Shelley Pagitt, who brings us a natural health tip of the week. She tries to help us all find that natural way in our food, in our clothing, in our bathing, in our exercise programs. All natural.
In your mind.
In our minds. Shelley Pagitt, all natural. Hello, natural. Hello, natural health coach.
Oh, my.
We might win the Marconi in the adult section. You know, we're trying to win we're trying to win a Marconi Award here, Mama.
I don't know what a Marconi Award is.
Well, a Marconi Award is the Oscars of radio, or as some people refer to it, the Oscars are the Marconis of films.
I can't think of another radio show that would be more worthy.
It's
my thoughts exactly.
It's the annual award given out to excellence in broadcasting.
And is Doug Pagitt radio religious radio that's not quite right on the docket?
Well, I don't know. We are committing ourselves to that endeavor.
And not yet nominated, but
and whatever that takes. The awards are not until September, so we're going to make a good old run at it. And your segment has as much potential, I think, to be nationally recognized as anything.
Oh, great! So, I'll work up some new stuff.
Well, what's going on in the natural health tip giving world?
Well, I've been thinking about people who are ill, which I think about frequently, and I think I've been pondering how they interact with, how we as a society and specifically individuals who interact with the medical community. And the tip of the week would be don't turn your health over to somebody else.
Oh, yeah. Keep your fingers in it.
Well, keep your mind in it. Yeah, and I think that, you know, it's one thing to get, I was talking with a friend this week who was having a difficult situation with her, basically her colon or her bowels, you know, her stomach was upsetting her, and, you know, she went into the doctor, and I think this would be the case with many people, and there's really a place, I like to preface this saying, there's really a place for Western medicine. I'm not, you know, completely anti doctors or hospitals or whatever. You know, I've participated in some of it myself. But I think that we as a society, in any way, shape, or form, are in a bad place when we turn over our self-interest and power to another person who doesn't have maybe our interest, certainly doesn't have it at the same level that we do. And our bodies, our minds, our spirits should be our top priority, and they're not necessarily the top priority of another person, though we want it to be, or though it seems easier sometimes just to say, I'm going to do whatever you tell me to do.
Sure, right.
And I think that once we remove our mind from the situation and we stop thinking about how do we access our own health and our most healthy being and give in to just whatever somebody else is recommending, I think it's a problem.
And do you think most doctors want that? I mean, is that a pressure point for people when they go into the medical field, that they sort of become a passive participant in their medical life?
I do think so. I think that your experience with this would be like in the church, that people want an expert, and they oftentimes, out of lack of self-knowledge or self-will or fear or whatever, all of us operate at such different levels of what keeps us from doing what's best for us or investing in our own lives, that sometimes it's easier just to turn it over to the, quote, expert. And those experts become experts in an area, but they also see people day in and day out, which sometimes adds to their expertise. And other times I believe it takes away, because then they're looking for a Band-Aid or a cookie-cutter approach, especially to our health. And that sometimes it takes more work, more conversation, more investigating, more bringing together whole varieties of things that are happening in our whole body that aren't addressed in the medical field. It's a symptomatic way of addressing physical problems.
And if people are going to endeavor in that, how do they? If they don't even know like what the problem is, it can be so intimidating, right? When someone doesn't know, they just have a pain, or they just have a symptom. How does one inform themselves about what they should contribute to the equation?
I think that's a good question, and something that my hope is that people will actually endeavor to think about it, at least. Mm-hmm. And I think the Internet offers a lot of different varieties of thoughts and advice, and some of the natural health stuff comes up as quackery. That's a word that was thrown around a lot numbers of years ago. Now natural health has much more science behind it and is much more credible to people, but even that can be kind of, what is that called when you're kind of when you're on a race, like you're trying to find something and you can't find it. I can't remember the word for that, but it just becomes too overwhelming.
A wild goose chase?
Yeah, a wild goose chase. That's right.
Right. I think there's a lot of that goes on. I mean, I know, when you have a problem and you start listening to all these voices, to the individual, it can be intimidating. It's difficult.
Right. So one thing that I would do is you can find a naturopathic doctor, or so maybe you get a diagnosis from a Western doctor for something going on, and this would be for a big problem, like bleeding or an ulcer, I don't know, some big problem. So if it's a big physical problem and you get a diagnosis, then there's ways to look to treat it naturally. There's some good resources out there, like Balch and Balch. Those are authors of a book called Prescriptions for Nutritional Healing. Mm-hmm. You can go to a good co-op or health food store, look in their reference books, and figure out something that might be good for you. You can also look on the Internet and put natural before your ailment, natural treatments for, natural cures for, and read through all of them. And if some of them come up with the same advice, then think about that first.
So, do most people that are into whatever you call them, more natural remedies, are those practitioners more open to the client, to the patient having a say, or would people should they be aware that they might run into the same sort of approach from the practitioner in the natural health world?
I think if you run into the same approach, then that natural health practitioner is somebody to avoid, because then they're being cocky or just in their own head about having an answer. It should be an investigative approach with the client and the doctor, or the client and the expert need to cooperatively go and figure out what it is that's going on, and then how do they find relief from the symptoms as well as ongoing health and wholeness in the body. And I think most of the time natural health people, including myself, look at the body holistically, and because somebody has varicose veins or hemorrhoids or something like that, then that is an issue that's going to relate to a larger symptom. In my friend's case, she has had acid reflux for a few months. I thought that it had gone away, but she brought up her colon issues, and I said to her, until you deal with that acid reflux and take care of it, you're going to have ongoing colon issues, because the two are absolutely related.
So your suggestion is people should be a full participant in their own medical considerations, and not just outsource that to a professional. That's natural health coach Shelley Pagitt. You can find her at shelleypagitt.com if you're interested in her natural health services. Thank you, natural health coach.
You're welcome. Bye,
hey,
boys.
folks, stick around with us here after the break on AM 950, the Progressive Voice of Minnesota, and DougPagittRadio.com.